Okay, St. Mary's, hope you're doing well. So this weekend I will be dyeing my hair purple. Just want to throw that out there. I'm not having a midlife crisis or, Osculus is just like driving me crazy. But the faith formation students had 28,000 Hail Marys for Lent. So that was the deal. So my hair's a little shaggy. And then after that, I'll just buzz it off. So there's going to be a lot of changes in the next couple of weeks, but totally worth it. At the end of the day, we are here to bring people to God, and if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Today, we are going to be talking about commandments. We're going to finish off number 5, and then we're going to go number 6. Number 6 is the number one reason why most people leave the Catholic Church or they don't join the Catholic Church is because our rules on and our teachings on sexuality and the marital act. So we're going to go into that. But I forgot to mention in the 5th commandment, thou shalt not kill, also has to relate to the tongue. The saints say that it's the smallest member of the body, but oftentimes causes the most damage, right? And so to kill somebody's reputation is actually an act of, that's why it falls under the 5th commandment, because you can murder somebody's reputation. And if you do so going back to mortal and venial sin, if you do so to the point where it actually inhibits them from being able to provide for the family or for themselves, then it's grave matter. Going behind somebody, talking about their back, and unnecessarily kind of talking about this, that, or the next thing, or making stuff up. Even or passing on rumors can also do a lot of damage. Their name, gets kind of stifled or gets ruined, throughout a community. And the way that people relate to them is now changed, right? So when we talk badly about somebody, on the last day, we're going to see how the entire community treated this person, because of our speech. So it'll be like this, it seems so small, right? The tongue is the smallest member of the body, but it causes a community to change their mentality. And I've noticed that happen a couple of times where I have this understanding of somebody in my mind because of what I heard about them. And then I meet them in person. It's radically different. So it is very important that we be extremely cautious. I think St. James says if you have nothing to say good about somebody, and this is what parents teach their kids, just don't say it, because it can really impact people in a very negative way. And the accountability that we'll have on the last day is just tremendous. So we want to avoid that as much as we can. So yeah, just be careful not to, to make sure that we're either avoiding the conversations completely. One of the saints say that it takes 2 to speak badly, right? The tongue and then the ear to listen, right? So we're even guilty if we're like, oh, tell me more, So we want to avoid that. St. Philip Neri said to one of his penitents who confessed gossiping, he said, for your penance, take a pillow and run to the top of the bell tower, cut it open, and then dump it all out. And she was like, what? He's like, that's your penance. Take your pillow, go to the top of the bell tower, and cut out all the feathers and just throw them all over the town. And so she did that, and then she came back to St. Philip Neri, and he said, okay, now pick them up again. And she's like, no, that's impossible. He said, that is how difficult it would be to gather all those words back, right? You can't really correct that error. You can't kind of go and just say, no, it wasn't like X, Y, and Z. Like, it's already spread like rapid fire, and it's like kind of picking up feathers from a pillow that you dumped out of a bell tower. So that's a good example. I think that actually hits home. So the second one, the 6th commandment, is kind of the reason, as I mentioned earlier, that most people, like with the Catholic Church, like, no way, so like, and it's just because our culture has taken sex, the act which God has, really it resembles God. I'll explain why in a second. The church is so careful with this. But yeah, so I'll just kind of list some of them. Like homosexual acts, same-sex marriage, contraception, in vitro fertilization, and premarital sex. All that is considered grave matter, right? And so if we do it and we know it's a sin, then we fall in this category of mortal sin. That's what grave matter means. So with homosexuality, why is that wrong? So basically, we can look at two things. First, the natural order. No human being has a full reproductive system, right? So everyone's got half, right? A male reproductive system and a female one. You need both of them to complete the natural order. Matt Fradd kind of has a good example. He says to use our reproductive systems in a way that is not in line with nature is disordered, right? So that seems like a harsh word, but if you break it down, disordered, it goes against the proper order. So if I was to eat so much food and then I vomited it out, that's disordered, right? It doesn't go according to the proper order. So homosexuality is probably close to a lot of people. People probably know others who have this. It's not sinful to have it, right? To have these desires is not sinful, but to act on them or to entertain them, then it becomes sinful. And so that is the same thing with sex before marriage. Like the desire is there, but to act on that desire is gravely sinful. So one of the thoughts that I remember hearing from Scott Hahn, he said that that if you think about it, and it makes perfect sense, right? So you look at what is taking place, right? A soul, like you're essentially dealing with life here. Like life is in our hands. And not only just like a temporal life, any immortal life, right? Like we're bringing into a picture somebody who has an immortal soul, which will last forever, right? So to not take it seriously or to do it is dangerous, right? It can be very dangerous. If we think about it, how many people have suffered tremendously because they haven't paid attention to this commandment. Like it's like, the amount of damage that has been done because of not following this particular commandment is tremendous. I mean, I remember hearing the other day that 1 billion abortions have been performed since Roe versus Wade. I believe that's what they said. It was like an unbelievable number, more than all the wars combined. Is the amount of damage that's been done, and we just haven't really paid. That's the singular reason most of the time, is because people aren't following the guidelines that the church provides us, and it's to protect humanity. It's not to make everyone miserable. It's actually to increase people's joy, right? And that's always the case. It's always harder, but it's always for that sake. The second thing is that the Trinity. So a good way to look at it is the Father loves the Son and the Son loves the Father, and that love together creates a third being. His name is the Holy Spirit. When a father loves the mother, it creates a new person, which is a resemblance of God, right? So that marital act is actually a replication of who God is, right? So it's sacred. It's something that's sacred, and God is involved in that act, right? So he sets up parameters for when it's considered holy, because the parents pass on the matter to the child, but God breathes the soul into existence at the moment of conception, right? So it's three that are taking place there, and it's such an amazing thing. As I said earlier, it's an immortal act. Someone is coming into existence that's going to live forever. Of course there's like guidelines on how to do this safely and properly, and it makes complete sense. It has to take place in the context of a marriage, because this child needs to be formed and prepared for salvation and given all the tools that he needs. So stuff like that, that's why God takes it very seriously, right? It's like, okay, this needs to be properly ordered, and there's huge stakes on it if we don't do it, as we've seen, and we've just like rebelled against God tremendously, and the results, you don't have to look too far. I'll talk about the other one later. We're going into 10 minutes here, so I'm going to cut this, but next week why is in vitro fertilization wrong? Most people have no idea, but there's a very good reason for it. Contraception, same thing. I can talk more about same-sex marriage, but it takes a little longer, because this stuff is like, very near and dear to all of us. So, most people have known or experienced ourselves. So we have to learn about this and why the church teaches what it does. Okay, God bless you. Hope you have a great weekend. Bye bye.